Hi.
Oh gosh. So it's so interesting. The person you just had on, and I know you went to camp and you're 100 years younger than me, but I went to camp before Title IX, and everything athletic about me and strong and all those great virtues, she says, humble brag, really came from camp. I mean, I went to camp in the 60s, and we played half course basketball at my high school. My brother played little league and I went to ballet and hated it. And so, like, when I wrote Camp Girls, um, I'm 65. I am the oldest counselor at Camp Agawak for girls, but I have a teenage heart. Um, and I know you went to camp too, so I'm preaching to the choir.
Yes, I did go to sleepaway camp for many summers. Although I have to say, my first summer I went, I was 8, and I went for 8 weeks, and I'm not sure I have recovered from that yet.
Interesting is that, and I went for 8 weeks for all 10 years, and our parents only came once. And
Yeah.
now, and my sister and I, when we went in 1963, I was 8 and she was 9, Zibby, we went on an overnight train and I waved to my parents through the dark and dusk in Chicago. And there was my 8 and 9-year-old sister, no Instagram, no email, nothing, and we held hands. I just remember, and I think it's my favorite scene from the book. It was certainly one of my favorite memories. So we slept over on this train. My sister Fran was on the lower bunk and I was on the top. And she said, "Can you just dangle your arm over so we could touch fingers?" And I think we did that until we fell asleep. And I think camp was, a lot of people I interviewed or tried to interview said, "Oh my God, I'm so happy you're doing this book, Iris." But I hated camp. I loved camp.
Yeah, I think if my camp just got off on the wrong start, but then I found other camps that I loved. But like you, I mean, my parents dropped me off at the airport and I flew to Maine, like by myself at age 8. Like the idea that I would do that with any of my kids now is like such a joke. I barely even like let them cross the street, but perhaps that's a detriment. That's probably my, overprotective parenting. But I remember so well, my mother made me, and not to talk about myself, but she used to peel cotton off of these long cotton things. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like everybody used to do that. They were wrapped around this white paper. And so she would save the paper from and make me like this long thing and tape little things, and I would unroll it on the plane on my way to camp every year.
So,
so now I see cotton and start crying.
I started crying. I love camp, and you can tell I have the Chicago accent. A lot of my, the Midwest was a big Wisconsin camp thing. I have 4 sons, and I have twins also. We've talked about this. And so when my 4 sons went to overnight camp, they went to Racket Lake Boys Camp. I
Sure.
did the camp. So I have been at camp since age 4, basically. But Camp Girls, and I'll show it to you, but I know you showed it. But I love oh my gosh, well, see, I just love the cover.
Yes.
Because it really exudes so much. And when I look at my life, I could never have written this when I was your age or when I was in 18 and a counselor. But when I reflected on my life, which we often do with each birthday, I thought about every single thing that's mischievous about me: adventurous, resilient, courageous, humble, strong. It all came from camp. That is the spine of my life. And I've had a lot of highs, but one of the biggest highs was being elected blue team captain. Like, what does that tell you?
That's great. That's so great. So what inspired you, aside from reflecting back on camp in general? What made you turn into a book?
So I went to camp from 63 to 73, and I went to our camp's 85th reunion. And the new owner, who's half my age, well, not really, she's 53, she was reading one of my books, and I said, "Oh my God, Mary, I'm so excited. That's me." And I got my literary, whoops, you dropped. I had my horse show trophy from 1970. I said, "Mary, I got my literary start at Camp Agawak." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, we had a camp magazine." So I went back at age 59 to resurrect the camp magazine. And so over the last 6 summers, I've been at camp. And so it wasn't like I was reflecting on some tattered, yellowed photographs in a picture album. I was living camp again. And I just realized that in life, we make sequential series of friends. We have our elementary school friends. We have our high school friends. My friends from camp form an unbroken timeline in my life. And right now, going through this Corona chaos, they're my lifeblood. You know, we're sisters born not of blood, but of history, love, and loyalty. And so I just thought, you know what? Camp teaches us so many lessons about life, and camp is changing. It used to be a privilege, right? And monochromatic. But as the American Camp Association is building wonderful scholarship programs with the goal of Camp for All, it's just becoming increasingly available to people. So what inspired me is both my parents are not alive anymore. And I realized that, you know, 50 years later, that was the greatest gift they ever gave me. And I have all their letters to me, my letters to them. And my father shot every single inch of footage over Parents Weekend. And so I just started looking at all this stuff and thinking, wow, this is the unbroken timeline of my life. And oh, Zibby, I am getting letters from 85-year-old women that say, I'm still best friends. And did you know I won the canoe? I was the fastest canoer, I don't even know if that's a word. But the memories, you know, right now in crazy times, we need a spine, you know, we need an anchor, and we need our self-reliance. So when I look at, like, if you said to me, what's the greatest gift? It's reliance, self-reliance. I know who I am. I know that I was 8 years old and went on an overnight train to Woodruff, Wisconsin, and I did it. And so Camp Girls it's my 7th book, and it's so much my favorite book because it's the truth, you know. And it's not only for girls. I got 4 sons. They'd like the book a lot. They went to camp. And I just want to add, and you brought it up, this comes at a time when camps may not run. Mm-hmm. So right now it looks like, and you know, I've been in touch with everybody from the CDC to the American Camp Association. Some camps may run, but they would run late, and they would run with huge restrictions. Like when I was a counselor, my highlight was like socializing with the boys counselors in town. That will not be happening. And also the girls will have to stay. There won't be any inter-camp competitions. So some of the longer camps may make, and what I think is a wise choice, to skip a summer. I skipped 40 summers, and those lifelong lessons from summer camp are still really, really guiding me through being a mother, a wife for 3,200 years, it seems like, but it's actually only 32 years. So, I mean, you know, like, look at everything you do in your life. So much of it has to do with self-reliance. Mm-hmm. And wherever you learned that lesson, whether it was at camp or from your parents or from challenges in your life, that's the most important gift any of us can ever have, you know.
Wow. Well, Iris, thank you so much. And I'm glad we finally worked through our technical issues and that you joined. And this is such a timely book and such a great way to look back on a really special time of life, which deserves a pause and to reflect for sure.
Well, just one little ad. So if you're home with your kids who can't go to camp, and my kids are in their 20s, but they're all living here right now, you know, how do you create a camp-like spirit at home? And all I'd say to moms with young kids is, you know, build that fire, have s'mores, even if you have to cook them in your kitchen.
We just did that.
Yes, and schedule their days. Like, yeah. Camp is not a schedule. And so I would say you can create camp at home, and there's always the summer of 2021.
Okay. So, well, yes, we've been mainlining s'mores. So anyway, well, thank you so much, and we'll stay in touch. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.